What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. The Halo 3 PC beta is coming to an end after 2 weeks. It was originally supposed to be a 1-week beta, but 343 decided to extend it by another week. I've been playing the beta for most of those 2 weeks, and I now feel like I have enough experience with the game to give my thoughts on how the game is so far and what can be changed before the official release on PC. I don't want to waste your guys' time with this introduction, so I'm just going to get straight into the video. First, I want to talk about the graphics and performance. As far as graphics go, it really isn't too different from the Xbox One version. While that isn't a bad thing, just don't expect it to be like Black Ops 3 where the difference between last gen and next gen is night and day. Even though the enhanced graphics on PC improves on small things like rendering the environment and shadows or making certain things brighter, I doubt you'll be able to tell the difference when playing the game. The frame rate, however, is where this version really shines. The original release on Xbox 360 was stuck at 30 FPS. The Xbox One version increases it to 60. Now that we're on PC, we can render the game with as many frames as we want. This brings up a question that many of you would like answered. Are Halo 3's frames true frames or something like Reach and Halo 2 Anniversaries? When you play with uncapped frames for both Reach and 2 Anniversary, the frames look like they're split into two, which makes playing the game unbearable with uncapped frames. Capping the frames at 60 solves this, but your average PC gamer isn't going to be satisfied with just 60 frames per second, especially for a 10-year-old game. However, I am happy to tell you that uncapped frames in Halo 3 is true uncapped FPS. I found no stutters or ghosting for both the campaign and the multiplayer, and since this game was made in 2007, a potato PC can run this at a solid 1080p, 60 frames per second, and if you have a build like mine, which I will show on your screen, you'll be able to play this at whatever frame rate or resolution you desire. Now let's move on to a more controversial topic, the mouse and keyboard and controller balance. I've said this many times already. Mouse and keyboards and controllers will never be equal, no matter how much in-game tweaking the developers do. They're just too physically different. One will always be better than the other, and it's up to the developers to determine which peripheral will be the better one unless they physically change the controller itself. And considering how the controller for the Series X is pretty much identical to the One version, we're probably not going to see any modifications anytime soon. A lot of people have been turned away from Halo on PC because of 343 giving royalty to controller players over mouse and keyboard players despite the game being a PC title. Aim assist had a lot to do with this, but there was more to it, such as not having input matchmaking at launch or putting off the uncapped frames issues. While controllers will still be the better peripheral in Halo 3, I found mouse and keyboard to be a lot more playable compared to the other Halos. I think the main reason why this is the case is because of Halo 3's gunplay being projectile based. Halo Reach and 2 are hit scan based, which means you have to hit every single shot precisely and consistently, which is much harder, if not impossible to do without aim assist. Since Halo 3 is projectile based, you have to lead your shots since actual bullets are coming out of your gun. Aim assist is still there for controller players, but it's weaker compared to the other titles, and it actually works against the player since it tries to pull the crosshair on their opponent's head even when they don't need it. Aim assist is disabled for mouse and keyboard players, which makes leading shots easier since nothing is pulling them back. Again, controller players will still be dominant in the game, especially in close range combat, but mouse and keyboard players have a much better chance against controller players if they keep their distance. The only problems I found within the multiplayer itself are my bullets registering as bloodshots more than usual and the game crashing on me twice, both in the main menu and in Forge. Speaking of Forge, let's talk about that for a little bit. Forge on PC is pretty identical to the console versions of Forge, but 343 added a lot of new items and changed a few restrictions to it. For starters, the budget has increased since most modern PCs can handle a lot more than what the 360 could, and 343 added a lot of new items to the Forge menu. The most notable ones are both the Elephant and the Anti-Air Wraith. The Elephant used to be an exclusive vehicle to Sandtrap and was not forgeable or spawnable. Now you can spawn up to 4 elephants in any large map that allows it, such as Snowbound. The Anti-Air Wraith is now an official vehicle in the game. While the Anti-Air Wraith has been in the game in the campaign, you weren't able to get in it unless you used the glitch where you would punch the brute out of the Wraith and by quickly getting in it before it blows up. Now 343 made it an official drivable vehicle in the game, so you can spawn it and use it wherever you like. There are a few extra options for rotating specific items precisely, but again, I'm not experienced enough with Forge to tell you how it works, so I'm sure someone else can talk about that better than I can. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how the beta went. Everything I wanted in this build was fulfilled, and 343 added a lot of things that I didn't even think they would add at all. Once they fix the flaws I mentioned earlier, the game is pretty much ready to be shipped. I take that with a grain of salt since many of us were saying the same thing about Halo 2, but it ended up being a huge mess at launch. But 343 is aware that this is their last chance to make Halo on PC relevant, so I'm confident that this will be a successful launch. So that is going to be it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe for more content, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.